Hi, everyone, and welcome to the second episode of the Sparty Update podcast. I am Ivan Gutierrez with my co-hosts Edgar and Sergio. How are you guys doing today?
What up?
Doing good. How are you?
What's happening?
We're kind of doing things a little different today. We couldn't physically be recording together, so trying to make the most out of our podcast and just meeting together and talking about this. You guys do anything cool this weekend?
This weekend, I just got that birthday brunch this weekend coming up.
I got my vaccine this weekend, so pretty pumped about that. So.
Oh, this last weekend, my bad. I didn't do anything. I just kind of kicked it. I got a new skin routine that I have to follow now since people are complaining.
That.
Yeah, people are complaining about my skin. Shout out Maya for my skin routine.
Hey, that's what's up, bro. Hey, we all got to have our 7-step, skincare routine. I got mine, glowing.
Hey, Edgar, this is where you plug the brand, be like sponsored by.
Sponsored by, and then just silent, no one.
Amazon.
Hey, all right. So things were pretty positive so far, from our first episode. I mean, it was just friends and family. No one's gonna say like, "Hey, your guys' podcast sucked." I never want to hear that again.
Hey, I thought it was dope, man. I thought it was dope. We got Luke Dog giving us a big shout out. Shout out Luke again.
I see that our social media was kind of growing too off of one episode, so that was pretty dope. But a lot of the feedback that I got was that the audio was kind of iffy, but other than that, they thought the content was great.
Yeah,
really?
Yeah, that was the thing. We got some issues with the mics and everything. Hopefully, going forward after that first run, everything's gonna be good. But yeah, no, I mean, dude, it was cool. I was happy we started it, and then we're keeping to it.
I liked your background music, yo. I was like, what?
Hey, that was dope.
You put a little Living Legends in the background. I was like, what?
Yeah,
that was kind of dope.
I tried pulling out a deep cut, something like low key that slaps.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I like that.
Yeah,
that definitely kept me like paying attention for sure, because I lose track easily.
That was all really cool, and I'm glad everything came out as smoothly as possible. So let's hope this one goes even smoother, and hopefully the transition to staff and players goes smooth. There we go.
There you go.
And that's what we're gonna.
What a transition!
What a transition, bazing! But yeah, so this week we're gonna talk about all the moving parts from the team. There was more than usual, but at the same time there wasn't. So it's going to be pretty interesting. And from top to bottom, from support staff to players and coaches, things were pretty much, moving just like any other, college football team. You're going to have the same guys for 4 years. They come and go, whatever it may be. But yesterday, and we talked about this, we have to talk about this, was we were talking about our topics, and the San Jose State team, they pretty much had their off-season program paused, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
the COVID.
We can talk about this a little bit. I don't think it's a huge deal, right now, because typically spring ball is 5 weeks, 6 weeks. They take a spring break or whatever, and they're still pretty far away. A lot of teams really pushed back their routine and getting to spring ball. So it's all just lifting, even though that's really important. Them pausing this early, I don't think is that detrimental. It could have been a contact trace thing. It could have been something small. We just don't know. And obviously that stuff like that isn't really going to get out. But I don't think that's personally me, I don't think it's a big deal. What do you guys think?
I mean, it's too early. I don't think it's gonna be a big effect. I mean, yeah. I feel like everything else is slowly coming back. And I don't think it's gonna affect anything.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I don't think it'll affect much, especially since like a majority of the starters are coming back. So they've already put that work in together and kind of have that continuity already. So the only ones that'll truly affect are like the incoming freshmen, whoever tried to like do an early enroll. And then just, like the backups that are trying to get more reps, trying to, show out. But in the end, as a team, I don't think too detrimental.
But then again, you never know. It's too early. But I mean, I still think it's gonna affect anything.
Yeah. I think if you went like something like 3 weeks and then you had a COVID outbreak and then you had to be paused for 2 weeks and then it's like remembering everything. So yeah, I agree. It's something to look at, something that, caused a headline or whatever. But I think at the end of the day, it was, it's a small blemish on this off season. But now that we got that out of the way, we can get into, we can start with the staff. We're going to break down staff offense and defense. And there was a lot of moving parts with that as well. It looked like promotions as some coaches left, looked like other coaches stepped up. And then as other people got promoted within the team, they looked outsourced. So Serge, you want to start off with the staff and we can kind of, talk a little bit here and there?
Yeah, so I would say like the biggest move as far as coaching was losing Coach Gundy, the QB coach, because I would say he was the one working with Starkle last year and Jay Love the year before, so great opportunity for him to move on to a bigger school, but I think
Coach Chip,
that's going to be the one that really impacts us, but hopefully we can get over that hurdle. We had a couple other staff leave. I know we replaced the wide receivers coach and
Coach Cummings.
Yeah, Coach Cummings, replaced him with Eric Scott, and then we added outside linebackers coach Rob Christoph. I don't know much about those two guys. I don't know if you guys did a little research on them.
Mm-mm.
Yeah, I got a little bit notes on those guys right here. Obviously losing KC, the receiver coach, Coach Cummings, is big. I mean, he's literally been with Brendan since he was a GA at Oregon State. So you have those 2-3 years as a GA, and then the last about 4 years with the development and just the culture-wise was big. But I think the replacement with Eric Scott, it may be very seamless. I think it's going to be a plug and play. I have some stats right here. His receiving core last year at Nevada, in total for that shortened season, had 14 touchdowns. They averaged about 10.5 yards per reception and almost 250 yards receiving per game. So that's huge, especially in this offense where you saw Starkle and everyone just throw the ball around. Guys were all over the place. I think he fits the scheme really well, and I think it's going to be a very plug and play. I'm sure he has his years of coaching experience, which he does have. It looks like over 20 years of coaching experience. So I think that'll be big. He's a veteran coach, so he's seen a lot of things. And then talking about the quarterback coach, losing Gundy was really big. I mean, Gundy has been proven everywhere he goes. He's a great guy. He's fun.
Stuff, man.
But I'd say, from looking at the official roster and moves, it looks like Coach McGivern is going to take over that QB coach role, which he's the OC. So he pretty much already knows how to groom him, what's expected. I'm sure Starkle knows the expectations as well. Coach Cummings was a quarterback coach. In 2014, he was actually voted by footballscoop.com as the National Quarterback Coach of the Year. So that's pretty big, So not only does
Cummings or Gundy?
Coach McGivern. Sorry about that. Coach McGivern, the OC. He has experience coaching quarterbacks. He's done it over 16 years. So not only is he an offensive-minded coach, but he's also a proven quarterback coach. And one last thing that I saw, that I noticed with these new hires, because even the new director of football operations, Tanner, and I'm going to butcher this name, but it's Schultz. I don't know. I'm very sorry about that. I tried really hard trying to figure that name out.
It seems very European. It's like Schulthius. Schulthius.
Tease, right? Like the basketball player.
Yeah. That's what I was thinking. But what I was noticing with him, Eric Scott, the new wide receiver coach, and the new outside linebacker coach, Rob Christoph, is they all have really recent high school experience.
Mhm.
They have that mix of coaching D1, XFL experience, as well as with high school. And Tanner, the new DFO, worked with USA Football in the past. So I think working with this college team, improving on a already great staff and season, I think it's big that they understand what's going on at the high school ranks. You know, you can recruit all you want. You can be in touch with, you know, what's going on in football culturally, society, whatever. But to have that hands-on experience, I think in the long run is going to be really huge. Knowing that, you know, just within the last 5 years, they've seen high school football. They've seen, you know, with all the camps, with the 7-on-7 and everything. I think that's really big. I think having that experience mixed in with that, you know, D1 experience is going to be really great. And who knows, you know, maybe that'll help with recruiting. Maybe that'll help with the camps. Because as you know, as we all remember, the camps were huge. Remember that? Just in the middle of June, hot. There's like hundreds of guys trying to get that scholarship or whatever. It was ridiculous. But I think that these coaches know what it takes. They know how to speak to these guys. So I think they were really good moves. I mean, you know, everyone's going to move. You know, the one time you have a good season, it's expected that you're going to lose really top guys. Luckily, Brennan did not leave. You know, I know he was linked to that Arizona job, but thank God Arizona screwed up. Thank God they screwed up and Brennan stayed. So that's pretty big. You guys have any thoughts about that? Oh, and there's a new video coordinator, and we know Cameron Radford only hires the best. So I'm sure he's gonna be great. I'm sure he's gonna kill it, and then he's gonna have his own podcast in 5 years or whatever.
Yeah, but I guess going back to the whole Brennan thing, like, yeah, definitely glad that he stayed. I don't know if he would have actually left, because I
think he would have. I mean, why not? Get a bigger opportunity, bigger school, Pac-12.
Yeah, but this is like this is your hometown. Like, this is like legit your team. Like, you don't leave.
Get your bag, baby.
Right at the peak. He's already getting a bag. Like,
I know. Get your bag, baby. I mean, I don't blame Gundy leaving too. LA, out there, UCLA, historic school.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I agree.
That's dope.
I mean, you know, anyone that's going to get the opportunity to go Power 5, you know, especially after playing San Jose State, even though for how great everything is, resources, facilities, everything isn't that great at the end of the day.
Huge difference.
It's night and day.
Hey, all I'm going to say is, like, the only coach that has left the Mountain West and had somewhat stayed relevant and had successes is the Coach Peterson when he left Boise State for UW. So, and then even then he stepped down already. So I would say staying is probably the smartest option.
Yeah,
I forgot about that.
Yeah, no, that's true. I never really thought about that. It's I mean, I guess it's the same game, but it's a whole different world. You know, you have more resources, you have more money, you have better players, but you know, sometimes you can't juggle all that. You're so used to doing so much, and now that there's resources, you don't, not to say you don't have to work as hard, but you know, things may be a little bit easier because there's more money, there's some more stuff. But yeah.
Wait, did he step down because he had a bad record or because of legal issues? I don't remember that.
No, I think he just stepped down because like health issues or something.
Oh, okay. Damn.
Yeah.
Okay, so now that we can move over a little bit, I think one thing that, since we're talking about all these moving pieces, now we can get into the players a little bit. But I think before we get into the players, we can talk about recruiting and how recruiting during the pandemic was something pretty nuts. You know, I'm sure, you know, we've all experienced it. Serge, you know, you working in recruiting and me kind of knowing how all that works. You know, coaches are out all the time. The moment offseason hits, you know, they're out recruiting, they're bringing guys in, They're going to high schools. They're meeting different players and coaches. And they're talking to teachers. But you couldn't do all that. I mean, they're pretty much doing what we're doing. It's like, hey, like I'm a coach.
Yeah, just meeting everyone over Zoom. And then I think what made this year's class a little more difficult to recruit to was that the seniors didn't get a senior year, right? Like I know, like my little brother who's in high school now, they just started their senior season of football, but it's not the same,
it's only 5 games.
It's in the spring. Like I think they had like 2 weeks of practice, and then obviously if you're like a recruit, you're not gonna spend your time playing in the spring when you can be preparing to move on to college. So yeah, definitely made a little more difficult as far as recruiting this year.
And you don't get enough film this year because they only have 5 games.
Yeah, you got to go based off 2019.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it's definitely pretty nuts, especially with like, putting on a show about, your university or like, what more everything has to offer. Because, you got to look at every player, and I'm sure all these recruits and coordinators, they look at recruits that you can't look at them all the same. Some guys care about different stuff. Yeah, the team, you're going to win games or whatever, but you can go and win games in a few different places, and sometimes it goes really down to, the little things like campus. It can go down to physically meeting different staff members, putting on the jersey, like the player, you may not know anything about San Jose. You can live in Fresno, you can live in Southern California. You've never been to San Jose, and you just think about it as this like big tech place with nothing to do. Then you
Pretty city on earth.
Yeah, and then you come to San Jose, and then it's like, wow, there's stuff to do. The beach isn't that far, like there's mountains, there's stuff to do. But you don't get that opportunity over Zoom. I mean, you can get all the hype video, you can get all the different like PowerPoints or whatever, but physically being here really can be maybe the campus, maybe just like the dorms can be the difference between going to San Jose State or Nevada. There's little things like that.
Yeah, and you can say we definitely felt the impact of COVID with recruiting because we only signed 13 players, 10 of them being high school players, 2 JUCO players, and then we got 1 transfer. So coming off like such a great season, you definitely would expect a lot. How many players do you guys usually recruit?
How many players do they usually recruit? I don't really know about recruiting. I know you worked in that department more, Serge and Ivan, but like before COVID, like how many would they recruit?
I would say it was like closer to like 20 to 25 dudes.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So it was, it's not that big of a, but I guess it is 10 people.
That's why I'm saying like you would expect it to be a lot more. I was expecting it to be anywhere from like 20 to 40 new guys just because we're coming off the Mountain West Championship. You definitely like would prefer to go to a school that's winning, and you can see that San Jose State's on like the up and up. So you would have thought that players would have chose to come here over some of the other schools.
Yeah, no, that's definitely true. Because when I think about it, and we'll talk about like the players that gone and are staying and everything in a little bit, but just one last note to pretty much how little recruiting, like the littlest inch can determine someone is. I remember in I want to say it was 2018. I was in a staff meeting and they were going over recruit updates, whatever, who's coming, who's going, who was coming in this weekend, all that ins and outs. But I remember we lost a offensive lineman recruit to Nevada because he came over to his official visit, and we didn't offer him to like wear a jersey and take like photo shoots, and it was that small. And he goes to Nevada. He must have been wined and dined, took a photo shoot, wore the jersey and pictures and everything, and like the next day signed. And I remember our O-line coach at the time was like, what the hell? Like he was super mad, like he was pissed off, and he was like,
Bernardi?
Yeah.
Oh God, Bernardi.
Yeah, he was pissed, and because you lose out on a recruit.
That dude was pissed 24/7 of the day, bro.
And that
didn't even matter.
He was mad when you just showed up to the practice field.
I know. That dude hated me. I remember one day I asked him, how was your day? And he's like, why you gotta ask that? Mind your own business. I was like, oh, okay. I'll just keep on doing me then. Damn.
And
Yeah.
with him, O-line practice always started like 10, 15 minutes before practice.
I know, and I had to scramble out there with the handheld.
Yeah, it
And
was
he's
like,
like,
hey,
get over here, get over there. I'm just like, oh, dude.
it's like practice is at 9. He's like, hey, yeah, can we get a camera out there at 8:30? I'm like, what? Like, okay. Yeah, I felt bad for those O linemen if it, like they were like drenched in sweat before practice even started.
Yeah.
Like, oh
Yeah,
my
yeah.
god.
They already had a full practice and they're like, all right, go stretch now. It's like, what?
Yeah, and they're still 2 hours away from like a team period. Like,
Yeah.
oh my god, dude, I felt so bad for them. But I guess you got to be the most athletic and physically fit players on the field. But I'm like, oh my god, maybe they should like take a rest day or something one day. This is getting ridiculous. But yeah, let's get back on track. But pretty much, yeah, recruiting is that small of you know, wanting to wear a jersey and take a picture. You know, it's that little. It's pretty nuts. So the fact that the team and other teams didn't have that have that leisure, I'm sure determined a lot of things. And I guess we'll figure it out, and you know, we'll see it. You can't really see it off the bat. You know, a lot of guys aren't going to be playing first year. Maybe they are, maybe they won't. But typically, you know, you see that in the later years. But now we can get on topic with the players and those guys who left, who are coming, and
Big departures.
Exactly. Serge, you want to kick it off with the departures and any note about them?
Well, I was thinking we can start with notable recruits since we were just on the topic of recruiting.
Yeah, for sure.
So we did recruit like a few guys that I think are pretty notable. One being the QB Walker Eggett. Yeah. So watched a little bit of his huddle tape. You know, he's a big dude, 6'4", 200 plus. You can tell that he has kind of like a wide base, quick release, and a strong arm. So definitely gonna look forward to McGivern being the QB coach and turning him into the next QB, because it definitely looks like he has the stuff to be next in line. We got a JUCO running back named Leonard Glass. Just based off the tape, he's got speed, he's got juice. So, which I felt like sometimes we lacked in our running game last year. Most of the guys we have are like the smaller pinball type of guys. We have Holiness, who I felt should have got more carries last year, but I know he's like that hybrid guy.
Yeah.
So I think Leonard Glass.
That dude's shifty.
For real. So is this Leonard Glass guy. So I think he can be like that change of pace guy for us. Another offensive guy that I'm super excited to see is going to be Nathan
Afuta?
Nathan Lewis. Let's go with Nathan Lewis. So this dude, I think he should be able to see the field fairly quickly. I know we got Derek D's back, but this guy plays Nathan Lewis. He plays tight end, but he's the new hybrid receiver / tight end type of guy. So based off the film, like, he's a big dude, tall guy, and he has speed. So while watching the film, the only thing I could think of was like, this is like Darren Waller or Kyle Pitts out there. So if they can develop him, I think he'd be a nice weapon to attack down the field, attacking those seams. And then defensively, we added 2 linebackers. One's going to be Byron Parham, and then
you got it.
And then transfer Matthew Tago. So
Tago.
Yeah. So I didn't get a chance to see his brother play, but I know you did, Ivan. So I don't know if you kind of want to make the comp there.
Yeah. His brother, Christian Tago, was a beast. He was there, I want to say his first year. He redshirted that 2012 Military Bowl year. So he didn't play that. So he predominantly played 13, 14, 15, 16, and I think 17 he was already gone. He didn't get drafted. I think he spent some time with the Falcons, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
But he was a beast. I mean, I think it was a little bit shorter with your typical newer linebackers. I'd say maybe he was, but he flew like all around the field, and he had this crazy hair and like tattoo, and he was dope. And I think if you saw him and you saw his brother, very identical. I don't know exactly their measurements and things of that nature. That was that 17 year when we first started. I think it was 17 or 18 when we first started recruiting Matthew Tago, because I was making his graphics with Cam and RJ and all of those guys. And I was really juiced that we were going to get him. And I don't think we had a chance. You know, he ended up going to Oregon State, but I mean, he had Utah looks, UCLA looks. So there was
a couple Pac-12 guys.
Yeah, so many Pac-12 looks that I was like, I think after a few weeks or a few months, we're like, all right, like the offer's there, but we're not going to pursue him that hard because there's no chance. But I'm glad that we finally got him. You know, now all those years or those hours I spent making freaking graphics for the guy finally paid off.
Yeah.
So super excited to see him. And if he's anything like his brother, I mean, those linebackers with Harmon, it's gonna be nasty. I mean, you just added, you know, another beast to that linebacker core.
Yeah. So more of your work going unnoticed. More of your graphics going unnoticed, Ivan.
Yeah, dude. I mean, I still have my whole library of recruiting graphics, and like, let's see how many guys are not on the Spartans. Like, oh my god. But I mean, I guess that just helps, you know, in your resume or whatever, like building graphics or helping to make graphics. But yeah, that's a story. That's a different time for.
I'm just kidding.
That plus homework, like, you kidding me? You know, making 100 graphics before they come for an official visit. That was not fun. That was stressful as hell. But departures, Serge, I want to say you're pretty much like our recruiting expert. You know, you like to do this in your free time when all of us are playing video games or whatever. But talk a little bit about
this guy's crazy about it.
I know. Hey, like me and Edgar are playing like MLB The Show, you know, and then Serge is like, "Hey, look at this highlight tape." You're like, "Dog, are you kidding me?"
Hey, if he's not going to the Niners, I don't care.
Yeah, right.
All right, so let's hit on these departures, and honestly, the two notable ones are going to be Trey Walker and Bailey Gaither. So that's going to make Eric Scott's job just a little harder, you know, coming into like a brand new wide receiving core. But we do have some of the younger guys that, you know, had some flashes, like what was it, Isaiah Hamilton? He was our slot dude.
Yeah.
He was
Andre
nice.
Crump. Andre Crump's pretty nice too.
Yeah, maybe Holiness will get some more reps at wideout. So, you know, he has a lot of toys to work with. But yeah, we're definitely gonna feel a little pain in the first couple of weeks.
Losing Trey is gonna be big. Well, losing both Bailey and Trey is gonna be big.
Yeah,
dude, Trey, when I was at that Arkansas game, dude, game changer. I'm telling you, bro. Everything came his way, caught it. Even the Arkansas fans that were standing next to me, he's like, "Who is that guy?" It's like, he should be playing in the SEC. And I was like,
man, he almost could have if
he could. I know.
If he had eligibility.
We've talked a lot about that, you know, Trey leaving and just how weird it was, you know, like, I mean, he was awesome. You know, he was great. He had these fantastic, like,
dude, that Sports Center top 10.
Yeah, he was like number one, wasn't he? Was he number one?
Yeah, that thing was crazy, bro. Watching that live.
He's Mr. Toe Tap.
Yeah. And that's what made it on the field. You know, that you didn't see the practice and everything when he was doing ridiculous stuff there. So it was really weird. I don't know if KC leaving to Arizona had anything to do with it. You know, I don't know if there was already some underlining thing.
So he actually talked about it in that interview he did with PFF. And he was saying that he talked to Brennan about entering the draft. And he said Brennan kind of told him that this would be a great time for him to enter the draft. But he felt like he still had a little more to prove. And so so he wanted to go to an SEC school so he can go up against those SEC type corners and you know, show the league that he can be that guy. But I guess SEC has a rule where you need 2 years of eligibility left in order to transfer, and he only had one, so that nixed the whole thing. And
that's so whack.
Since it all happened like pretty quickly, that like he was kind of prepping the transfer, and then out of nowhere, now he has to prep for the NFL draft. So, but I think Trey has the opportunity to get drafted. I think what he put on the field at San Jose State was good enough. That 40 time that he had, not the greatest, but I think if he lands in the right spot.
What was that
right
stat
coach,
that we shared the other day about him and Devontae Smith having like the most like 15 plus yards catches or something, like receptions? Like Devontae Smith was first, and then he was like 15 behind him. That's pretty big. I mean,
yeah,
if he's right behind him and he won the Heisman, and that's pretty good, I think.
Yeah, no,
so,
I totally agree. You know, we've talked about this ever since it went down because it looked like he was almost going to go to
Mississippi State.
Mississippi State. Yeah, that's right. And then, you know, as you mentioned, everything with the SEC and everything, how it went down. But I think he had some very solid years. 2019, I think he had, you know, pretty good numbers. Last year, he had great numbers, you know, and when it comes to being drafted, of course, you know, I think teams want to see a little bit more. You know, I think, you know, especially as lame as it is, but, you know, 1 year of SEC, I feel like equals almost maybe 2.5, 3 years to anyone else, group of 5 or whatever. So I think we've talked about it. I think you showed that thing where PFF or someone has him maybe in the 3rd round or something like that.
Yeah, I think they were projecting him like 3rd, 4th round. But after that 40, it might look a little lower in the draft, but who knows? Maybe it was just a fluke, you know, like he just happened to run a bad time at the pro day. But
there's always a difference between like game speed and running a straight line, you know?
He plays faster than he looks. Ever since I saw him as a freshman, I thought he was going to be like really good. The speed was always my biggest concern with him because I felt like he couldn't separate with his like his speed, but his shiftiness and his quickness when he's running his routes is what gets him open, which I feel like, you know, like the Saints definitely take advantage of players like that. The Niners could use someone like that. They had Emmanuel Sanders.
Who?
The Niners.
Oh.
Raiders probably don't know how to use them.
No, they don't. The Raiders
yikes.
And throw the ball.
The Oakland Raiders?
So whoever gets Trey Walker, definitely getting a good player. You can tell that he's hungry. He loves the game.
If someone from the Niners is listening to this, please draft Trey Walker, or at least sign him to something. This is just a shout out from me.
So let's move on over to the transfers because I know with a lot of guys coming back, that just means one less opportunity for some of these guys who thought that they were going to play, or, you know, they thought they can compete for a spot. You know, that's pretty much out the door because it's just last year all over again. Serge, so you want to talk a little bit about the transfers and anyone that really stuck out to you?
Yeah, the one that really stuck out is Alec Trujillo, because I know he was getting recruited my last year there, and he was being dubbed like the guy. He's going to be the San Jose State savior. Like, his tape was just like amazing. He's not the biggest dude. He's more of like that Baker Mayfield-ish size, you know, like 6 foot, 6'1", pretty mobile guy. You know,
way shorter than that.
All the hype coming from San Jose State, I thought he was like next in line, but they got Starkel, and that definitely, you know, pushed him down the depth chart. And then, you know, Nick Nash's development also probably played a part in that. So I would say he's the biggest transfer or loss that we're seeing from the transfer portal. I would say the O-line and D tackle or the O-line guy Kendrell
Lewis, yeah.
And then Bo Togolau.
Yeah.
Togolau. I'm gonna say Togolau with you. I'm going with Togolau with you.
Bo Togolau.
Yeah.
So I don't know much about those guys. I know they were probably they're like,
that Bo guy's a De La Salle kid, right?
They're like underclassmen. Not sure where they went to high school. I'm pretty sure they were lower on the depth chart, but you know, you could never have too many O-line and D-line guys. So
yeah, no, I agree with you. Yeah, Bo did go to De La Salle, and I remember he was also there when we were making these infamous recruiting graphics But yeah, he came from De La Salle, and I want to say not to say we flipped him, but like he was really getting some looks from some other schools, and he came to us, and I think just with how the linebackers played, he kind of lost his spot, and I want to say now he has a few years of used eligibility. Look at that word.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
and so he wants to play somewhere. But I agree. I think Alec Trejo transferring is huge, because oh my God, it was like a back and forth that 2018, 2019 before he signed between us and Fresno, because
His hometown.
Fresno, he went
Yeah.
to
Oh, dude,
he went to San Joaquin Memorial.
Yeah.
And it was just back and forth, like, oh, I'm going to Fresno, oh, I'm going here, like, oh, it was just crazy. Like, I'd never seen that personally, because if you just looked at that one thing, like, looked like a savior. And it's kind of weird, in the sense that, you're putting all this pressure on this really good quarterback, when at the time I felt like we also had some very comparable quarterbacks. But
do we know where he's going?
No, last that I checked, he just had his highlight tape on his Instagram, and his post was, all the typical stuff. Thank you, San Jose. All that stuff that like was written on like Apple Notes or something like.
Yeah.
To like write up a paper, just whatever.
Hey, it's not
taking my
official.
talent.
It's not an Apple Note.
Yeah, exactly. And you see all like the red, like they didn't even like clean it up.
I'm taking my talents to South Beach.
Yeah, it's like I'm taking my talent to like southern Utah or something. But I thought that was big. But, of course, with Starkel coming and being the starter, and then staying another year, and then with Nick Nash playing that very like 1A, 1B kind of quarterback who you can plug in and just change tempo, I'm sure Alec was like, well, I'm not going to play anytime soon, so you might as well use, my talent somewhere. And, you can't really hate on him for that. I felt like I'm glad we're not at a point in college football where it's like, okay, like, why am I going to sit 4 years when I'm good? The guy just in front of me is better. I'm good enough to start and win some games. I'm going to go somewhere. So, more power to these guys transferring. I thought, that Kadrell Lewis was a pretty big transfer. Not sure about his situation, but he was a 3-star. He's an out-of-state guy, so his tuition's a little bit more. I think his more scholarship money has to go to him. Yeah, I feel like especially in college, with guys aren't at their full mature body, guys drop like flies sometimes. So having, an O-line that can play multiple positions was big, but, maybe he saw his opportunities elsewhere. I remember Austin Lyles was a pretty good prospect when we were there. He's a very lengthy receiver, and he's eligible immediately. So he transfers and he can play this year. So I think he's a little older.
He had limited snaps, so
yeah,
I find it kind of like hard to believe that he'll go somewhere and play and actually get playtime right away.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's gonna be, and I think he's from California, so I'm sure he's okay with maybe going D1A, Sac State, Azusa Pacific, something like that. Who knows, maybe the JUCO route, but yeah. Yeah, I feel like these transfers aren't very detrimental to the team. Sometimes you're like, oh man, like, if Trey would have, transferred and left, you don't know if that's going to come back and bite you later on in the game or whatever. So I think being able to let these guys, almost, spread their wings elsewhere, more power to them. But we can move on over to the notable names returning, and there's a whole bunch. That's the exciting thing. That is the meat of this podcast of what are these guys gonna do? Serge, what are your thoughts? Is it gonna be just a takeoff from last year, or what's the deal?
Well, definitely, like, all these dudes are impact players, right? Like, we got Nick Starkel coming back.
We running it back.
Derek D's coming back. Our tackle, Jack Snyder. That's a big one. That is so huge. He was he was voted by PFF the Conference Player of the Year for 2020. They talk about how like his first couple of years in college he was like wasn't grading very well, and then like out of nowhere this past year he just went from having a 77 grade the year before to a 91 grade.
Ooh.
This past, so he was
Wow.
he was graded one of the top tackles in our conference. So he definitely made a big step. So I think it was the best decision for him to come back and then prove to the teams in the NFL that he can do it again and be consistent. Maybe put on a couple more, or put on a little more weight just to show that he's big enough. But yeah, I would say that's probably to me, you win in the trenches. So he's probably the biggest name coming back aside from Nick Starkel.
Yeah, no, I agree. I remember when Jack Snyder was a young pup at San Jose, and he was just he was just really another big lineman. I think he lacked technique. I think he definitely had size for an 18-year-old freshman, but I think he was very green in aspects. But he was one of those guys that, my God, like Bernardi was just ripping into him all the time. But I think he got the most out of all that he got from Bernardi, and I think that laid the foundation of him getting bigger, getting smarter. Really, I mean, just that improvement from 70 to 90 is huge, and I'm sure this year with that great kind of chemistry that he's finally maybe taken that leadership. He's one of the longer tenured guys on the offensive line. Now that Kowalski and some of those guys had retired in the past, almost it may be his O-line. So I think him able to take that huge stride. Well, now let's see it with 10, 11 games. So
and what's also huge that I forgot to bring up earlier is that we're also getting Kyle Hoppe and Trevor Robbins back. So they play they play key roles along the offensive line. So as far as like the old line, I think we should be getting all 5 starters back.
Do you guys remember when we had like no defensive linemen and Kyle Hoppe had to play D-line?
Yes.
Oh my God,
that
dude!
Great.
That must have been like peak, like low.
What year was that?
I think it was your first year, Edgar.
2018, I think it was 2017 or 18. I don't know what happened with our D-line. Everyone was hurt, and like Kyle Hoppe stepped up, but I was like, oh my God, this dude! I don't know what he did. I'm sure it was.
He did well.
Bloody. But the dog, I mean, I was just like, so that's where we're at now, huh? Like we have no D linemen. But yeah, obviously, Starkel and Dees Jr. Coming back. I think me personally, it's going to be just another, takeoff from last year. I mean, last year, we've talked about it in the last podcast of, are they legit or not? We all think they're legit. So now I think it's now really to prove to the nation. They made a splash with what they did. They made a splash with the conference and beating teams they've never beat before. So I think it's huge, and I think it's great that this opportunity of these guys coming back and being able to play a full year. I mean, who knows? Maybe this next NFL draft next year, you're going to see like 4 or 5, maybe 6 guys from San Jose State get drafted or just their names mentioned. So it's super exciting to see, the return of these guys.
Like I said, I think we could run it back. We're getting key like starters back. We're getting Derek Dees back, and that's pretty huge because I think he was a big red zone target. He had those toe taps too. He had a couple of toe taps.
Third down target.
Yeah, and then I feel like Trey Webb's back. That's pretty big because what'd you say? You love Trey Webb because he's like a dog in the safety in the backfield.
Him and Jay Leonard coming back. So
yeah.
I know
that's huge on the defense because, you said it like last episode. You said the defense was on a whole different level. So.
And we got to give Tyler Nevins a shout out. I mean, we haven't even talked about him.
Dude, I know.
Dude,
the endless.
At times,
the endless wonders.
He's like that big bowling ball kind of guy that just had speed and would just like knock fools out. So it's like
he Nevins going down.
He had like surprising speed, because I remember watching him in practice and stuff, and like even in games, I just felt like he moves so slow, but like he's like he's a long strider, and you just don't realize how fast he really is until he gets going. And then definitely credit him winning the Nevada game for us. He said, "Put the team on my back, coach." And he just started trucking dudes left and right. So
Dude, that showed his speed too when he took off that like 50 yarder.
they like trucked a dude, like stepped over him and then went 68 yards. I was like, whoa, I didn't know you had it in you.
I see a lot of good positives with the guys coming back. You know, I think even though for how bad COVID was for everyone in sports in the world, I think giving these guys an opportunity to have a breakout year, and then on top of that, you know, the opportunity to get another breakout year. So it's pretty awesome, I think. And I think, you know, the San Jose State team is just going to benefit from all that.
What do you guys think the motto is going to be this year? Defend the mountain?
That's good. I mean, I know,
Ooh.
defend the mountain, you know,
I mean, you could go with your classic run it back, but I don't know. What is it? What was it? 2020?
Climb the mountain, right?
was climb the mountain.
Climb the mountain?
That's what I'm saying.
Man.
Protect the mountain.
Just the mountain, the Game of Thrones.
Yeah,
Just have him just like at every game. I don't know. I think RJ and all those fools need to get with marketing and come up with something cool, nothing generic.
Well,
and
RJ's gone. RJ
Protect the
graduated.
shield.
oh damn! Oh damn! That's right, huh? All right. Well,
Yeah.
whoever's in there making graphics and doing cool stuff, y'all gotta come out with some legit stuff. None of this.
And send the templates.
I know. Send the template. I know, right? All right. So I think we've talked enough. You know.
Yeah, I think we've hit on a lot of the major things. We hit on the coaching changes, players leaving, transferring, returning, and some of the recruits I feel are going to make a big impact. I would say next episode should be dedicated to talking about those home games, and then after that we can talk about away games.
Yeah.
Sure, for sure.
Yeah, Edgar. What are your final thoughts?
My final thoughts. I mean, I like Sergio said, I think we basically just covered everything we wrote down. We got through the important stuff. We talked about how the key players returning and how we could run it back for sure was important, and that's pretty much it. I mean, losing Trey Walker, of course, is gonna hurt because he was a big time talent, and Bailey's too. So, but I think we covered pretty much on a good amount of stuff.
Yeah, for sure. And
Also, we don't want to annoy people with our. We don't want to drag it on and annoy people with our annoying voices. You know.
if you look at like YouTube and podcast, like analytics, this is like when you start losing people. So I feel like we gotta like start wrapping things up.
Even though Serge sounds kind of cool over the mic, you know.
You gotta get one of those Chappelle show, like wrap it up.
Yeah. Press the button.
Yeah. So yeah, we've talked enough. You know, as Serge said, stay tuned to our new episode coming in the coming future. We'll talk about the home games. It's going to be exciting. Hopefully there will be fans. The NFL said today that they plan to have full stadiums. So I don't know what that means for college. I don't know. What
Good luck with Gavin Newsom in California.
Yeah, I don't know what's going to happen. Hopefully there'll be something. There's got to be fans in one way or the other. So hopefully they can pack that up.
I'm itching for some live sports.
We'll see what other colleges decide to do, but I don't know if you guys saw that Rutgers University is mandating everyone to have the COVID vaccine. So, you know, if other colleges start to do the same,
well, that makes sense because New Jersey
then you'll for sure have those
Rona.
home games.
Yeah, so we'll see what happens. You know, I know, you know, with
even I'm down for a little pod. You know what the Oakland A's are doing with the pods?
Yeah,
like you could buy tickets and you could sit in a pod with your family, and it's like
pretty cool.
Zoned off for your party of 8.
That's
and
cool.
then,
yeah, that'd be cool.
Yeah. So hopefully they're thinking of some creative stuff to keep people in the stadium or get people to the stadium, because I mean, man, can you imagine some of those games last year with a crowd? I mean, that'd be so lit. It'd be so dope. But we'll save that for the next episode. Quickly, I'm going to plug our socials since we are live on socials. There's a good chance if you're listening to this, you're already on our Instagram, because that's the one thing that's taken off.
Show!
So our Instagram is @Sparty Update Podcast all together. And all these, of course, are going to be in our description links, and you can find them on our link tree. We're on Twitter at Sparty Update POD, like the band, Youth of the Nation. Shout out to them. And then we're on Facebook, and that's facebook.com/Sparty Update Podcast. But I mean,
That's for our older generation, since a
Looking
lot
at
of
our,
these kids don't use Facebook.
looking at our demographics, Facebook is beyond last. It goes Instagram, Twitter, and then 90 feet of nothing, and then it's Facebook. But I mean, just to keep every social in there, who knows?
And we have a TikTok famous person within our group, so maybe we start doing a little bit of TikToks with them and get the podcast to blow up on there.
Who's
that?
famous?
Who's famous?
My brother Freddie.
Oh, okay.
Bro, you
Hey.
gotta give us a shout out. What you mean, bro? Yeah, he is famous, huh?
Yeah, he's got like I think it was like 100K or something like that followers on
Oh,
TikTok.
he's
That's not
cool.
fair.
Freddie, I know you're listening. Give us a shout out.
Yeah, for
Do a
sure.
little
Yeah.
do a little cool TikTok dance in the back with
You looking-
us in the background.
I know, right?
You looking cool, Freddie?
Forget the song. Just like do a dance to us talking.
Yeah.
All right. So this was dope. So yeah, stay tuned to episode 3. Thank you for listening. We appreciate everyone and everyone clicking YouTube, Spotify, whatever it may be, Anchor. So yeah, stay tuned to the next episode where you will find us talking about home games.
Peace.
Peace out.
Later. Sparty up.